it is clear that the West's freedom now comes with an asterisk. In Western Europe, many leaders have already chosen a gradual and amiable accommodation with extreme illiberality over an unpleasantly confrontational defense of liberty. Apparently, in the view of all too many of these leaders, the only hope for peaceful coexistence with the Muslims in their midst lies in an ever more vigorously exhorted and enforced deference to and accommodation of Islam. Increasingly, non-Muslim women are enjoined to respect an ideology that views them as whores, who are in profound need of merciless discipline. Gays are enjoined to respect an ideology that would condemn them to death. Free people are enjoined to respect an ideology that in larger and smaller ways is already stripping them of their freedom. When I first moved to Europe, the challenge to freedom was still relatively invisible. As I've said, you had to veer away from the tourist centers to even begin to get the real picture. No more. On a couple of nights last January, only 10 minutes walk from my front door, there were violent riots on the main street of Oslo, a street that is generally quiet and orderly, if not downright dull. But on those January nights, Oslo looked like Gaza at its worst. In fact, the rioters' motive was supposedly rage over events in Gaza. In reality, the riots were nothing more than a brutal show of force by young men who probably could not find Gaza on a map, but who were plainly determined to bend Norway to their will. As such, it was no isolated incident, but yet another step in a relentless process that I began witnessing 11 years ago in Amsterdam. And of course, this isn't just a European phenomenon. Events like the prosecution of Ezra Levant and Mark Stein made it clear to me that the one major mistake I made in my book, While Europe Slept, was in underestimating the vulnerability of North America to the same forces I saw bringing down freedom in Western Europe. 9/11, 7/7 in London, 4/11 in Madrid. After each of these and other atrocities, European officials and journalists wasted no time reminding everyone that only a tiny minority of Western Muslims are terrorists. And of course that's true, but it's not the point. Jihadist terrorism is only a distraction from the subtler forms of jihad going on around us. Indeed, terrorism, as many jihadists have realized, is counterproductive, because it only underscores the fact that there is indeed a jihad underway, and it draws media attention and it causes a public reaction. But what the media can, and to an extraordinary extent does avoid covering, and what the public can therefore fail to fully notice and comprehend, are the subtler, less spectacular, everyday aspects of jihad and of the capitulation thereto. And these developments are far more dangerous than terrorism. For terrorism cannot destroy the freedom of the West. What can destroy it is a gradual, broad-based, officially unacknowledged, and almost imperceptible day-by-day adjustment to Islam and to Sharia law, an adjustment that, if allowed to continue, will indeed ultimately lead to the end of freedom as we know it. This is the silent jihad and the silent surrender, and we're living right in the midst of it. And the unfortunate reality is that we can't sit back and relax in the assurance that our mainstream media will keep us fully informed about the ongoing threats to our freedom, and that our governments will protect us from those threats. They won't. If we cherish our freedom, we have to keep our eyes open and our ears open, and not be afraid to speak about what we see and hear, honestly, openly, and boldly. Thank you.